Okay, good morning, everybody. So, the topic that we're going to talk about today is the the testimonial. And I don't know how long this training is going to be because it is something I'm debating and I've been debating. Do I do this short, sweet so you get it? Or I don't know where this is going to go because this skill of the testimonial is probably one of the most important things to hone in for communication and presenting that you can do for your business. And the next training I'm going to do is going to talk about edification and what that is and how to do that. That's going to be the next training because these two things go together. When I started my business back in 2001, I did not realize that my ability to close a room, 9 out of 10 people, 10 out of 10 people, at least 80% of the people I presented in front of minimally, usually it was 90 to 100% of the people I presented to got started with my company. And I don't think for many years I realized why that was. I was doing something in my presentations unknowingly that was causing me this great success. And I'll never forget when I would start my presentation out, I would go over like the basics of, the products and a little bit about the company. And then I would tell my story. And looking back, I feel very bad for some of the people in the audience because I would go on and on and on and on and on about the story. And I didn't realize that thing was the key to my success. Because over time, later, as I got really comfortable and I became more successful in the company, and my business grew and my team expanded and all that other stuff, I kind of cut out some of that. And I was wondering why my closing success was not as good, as high in numbers as they were at the beginning. And that there's a phrase in the industry that is stories sell, facts tell. Now, if you listen to some of the top presenters in the world, but even in network marketing, let's just hone into our own little circle. If you sit back and you listen to how they talk, whether they're presenting a company to you or training or whatever, they talk about testimonials and their own story. I'll never forget, it was like 2000, I don't know, 13 or 14, somewhere in there. I was in Florida at this, network marketing mastermind, the mastermind, and Chris Brady was on the stage. And the first time I heard him, I literally couldn't stand listening to him. No offense, Chris. If anybody knows Chris Brady, sorry. I was like, this guy was like fingernails on a chalkboard to me. I don't know why. But a couple years later, I heard him speak in a very different way. I don't know, must have been having a bad day or something. Me, not him. Back when I first heard him, I think it was 2013. Who knows, something was up with me. But a couple years later, I heard him talk and I sat back and I observed him present. And he told his entire presentation through testimonials and stories. And it was amazing because I don't know why I didn't like him the first time I heard him present. I think he was a little squirreled out. Maybe it was him, maybe it was me, maybe it was both of us. I don't know. But when I heard him speak the second time, then I really, really, really enjoyed listening to him because the way that he spoke was through stories of success and stories we could relate to in our daily lives to the concept that he was going to be presenting to us so we could learn. And, I'm going to talk about testimonials here, but I do want to, go here and visit a little bit about when you are presenting to a group or you're mentoring your team, instead of training or delivery of messages that are only about step 1, step 2, step 3, and we don't bring in examples to illustrate something. It's like the story of the hero, right? When we are, going to the movies or watching something on pay-per-view, if you think about it, every movie that we listen to or watch, every movie that we watch fundamentally has the same story, right? Almost all movies, whether it's a comedy or it is a action thriller, superhero movie, drama, almost every movie has the same theme. But why do we love watching movies? Because the movie is a way that we can connect and discover things about ourselves. So example with most story plots, you've got a character, they give you a background of the character, and so you get to kind of bond with the character, and then you listen to or watch their struggle. There's always a struggle. Even if you look at every sitcom, whether it's an episode of Friends or you go back and you're watching I Love Lucy or whatever reruns, it doesn't matter. You could be watching, something like The Voice, whatever show you're watching. There's always, if you notice, even on The Voice, they do it. The contestants, where they bring in and then you learn the story behind the contestant, and it really gets people to emote and feel. And the thing is that they always go to the next phase, which is the struggle. Whether you're watching one contestant on The Voice, or you're watching Friends, or you're watching I Love Lucy, or you're watching Superman, the movie, or The Lord of the Rings, it doesn't matter. There's always a hero story in there. And why this is because we as humans are always wanting to believe more in ourselves, in our world, that we can overcome, that we can do. And at some level, what happens is we are subconsciously, when we are listening to a story testimonial, or we are watching an episode of Friends, or watching I Love Lucy or Lord of the Rings or whatever it is, we are always bringing back that story to ourselves at a subconscious level or even conscious level. We're always checking in with ourselves. Is that me? Can I do that? Is she like me? Is that, characters, representing something about myself that I could tap into and be better and overcome? And, that whole, that's why we love stories, because they make us feel, they speak to our subconscious mind, which we're not always aware of, obviously, but it gives us hope that we can overcome. And that's why the hero story is who the hero is. You get to learn about the hero's struggle, and then the ability to overcome and be victorious. And like I said, it's at the micro level of a half-hour sitcom all the way to the Lord of the Rings trilogy of 5 million hours of movie that they're going over mountains and being chased by, goblins, right? So the story is the same, whether it's a half hour or 3 days of watching movies, or even when you're giving a presentation that's maybe 20, 30 minutes, could be the first time you talk to somebody. But when we give a testimonial or a story woven into our presentations, we are doing the same thing. We're answering that question within our prospect, which there is the reason why they may or may not get started. They will always ask, can I do this? Is he or she at the front of the room or on the phone legitimate? And will this work for me, the product, typically? So these things are very, very important that we are able to understand when we're given. That's why it's so important to bring stories into our presentations. Like I said, big presentation, little presentation, coffee 101, Zoom meeting. You're standing in front of an audience of 1,000 people. We always have to bring these stories in because it speaks to the prospect or anybody listening at that level. Can I do this? Is this legit? Will it work for me? That's what the story does. Stories and testimonials. Testimonials are about success of the product or the business or whatever the industry, but they're very closely woven with stories. So for example, if you noticed what I just did, I told you I was teaching you through story. Just now, I did it to you. I didn't say, well, you stand up there and you start your testimonial with blah, blah, blah words, and then you go to this, and then you say that. I brought in a visual example of a story to illustrate my point, talking about movies that you may be familiar with. I Love Lucy. Who hasn't seen an episode of I Love Lucy, right? You may know of Superman's story. You may know, maybe you watched Friends before, like these things I'm relating to you through story and my own story of when I used to present and why I was successful. So, I'm teaching and illustrating through that example versus just giving you the exact words to say for when you give your own testimonials, which I will share in a second. But my first point that I want to make is when you're teaching or mentoring or presenting, bring in stories and relate concepts to people that they can bridge and understand, especially when you're teaching really hard stuff, like really, really hard stuff. I had back in college, I had to take chemistry classes. And in high school, even though I'm a science person, I never took any chemistry. I don't know why. But when I got to college, I think it was the general chemistry class so that I could get caught up with some of the basic chemistry stuff. And that first class I took was horrible for me. And I'm a straight A student in college, you guys. I got a C in that class, which really affected me because I literally had a 4.0. I graduated college with a 3.85 GPA. And that 0.15 was from two classes. One was that general chemistry class, and one was that stupid art appreciation class for 1 credit hour. I got a C in there because I could give two shits about art appreciation. I showed up because I had to, and it was 1 credit hour. I blew it off, and it greatly affected my GPA. Don't ever do that. But that course, that general chemistry course, I struggled so badly with. The teacher presented the concepts in ways that we could not understand. There was an English barrier there. It was horrible. Like, I literally am like, how am I was like a freshman when this happened. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get this science degree, So I struggled through that class and I got a C, which again, for me was like a bad deal. But then I had to move into, I think it was general chemistry, or it was my first organic chemistry. I don't remember. No, it was my first chemistry class. Organic chem was with a retired pharmacist. Whole different story. Woo! I don't know how I made it out of there alive. Big struggles. But the general chemistry course I took, and then I moved into regular Chem 1 and 2. I was terrified. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I barely made it through the basic 101 chemistry that I should have taken in high school. So in comes my teacher the first day of class of my organic 1 class. And he's this cute guy in his, like, probably in his 60s somewhere. he comes in, he's this little guy wearing, gray hair, and he comes in and he's just adorable. And he's like, I forgot what his name was, but he said, I'm a retired high school teacher for science and chemistry. And he said, he walked up to the board and he wrote chemistry, the word chemistry. And then he underlined certain parts and he said, chem is try. Chem is try. And he said, this is how you learn chemistry, is through trying and understanding. And he taught in a way that was, he would use concepts that were very, very relatable and familiar with teaching us stoichiometry and molecules and the periodic table. And I did extraordinary in that class. I don't know if it was an A or a B. It probably was an A. I think I got an A in that class. So I went from a struggling C to an A because I had a teacher who taught us a very hard concept through stories. And he knew how to break things down into concepts that we could relate to this really hard stuff like molecular structures in chemistry. So when we teach and we share and we educate our new members and our business builders and our product users, bring in these concepts, just like I did to you right now. I illustrated how we can teach hard things through stories. And I gave you the example of my college chemistry course. And I talked about how hard it was and how it was so much easier. And you understand now, I'm hoping, the concept. So very important to always tell stories when you're presenting. The second thing is, let's talk about testimonials, because they are a very, 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 very important part of your business. It's a matter of success and struggle, is the ability to give testimonials yourself and also be able to ask for testimonials and guide people to giving you testimonials that will be good and to the point and executed well. The problem is with testimonials, and I'll never forget, back when I first started my business, I went to this live presentation, and I think it was like 2003. And there was a couple people in my company that once they got that microphone, Lord help you, their testimonials and their stories went on for over a half an hour, sometimes longer. I think I timed one at an hour. Once that person got that mic, it was the end of any structure in that presentation. And of course, they would always volunteer to give the testimonial. And that testimonial, one of the people loved to hear herself talk so much that she thought that people were really interested in what she was saying in her stories and would go over time. Like, like if the presentation was supposed to end at 7, she'd go on till 9:30 with her stories because she thought what she had to say was so important. And to some degree, the stories were helpful because it related to people. However, it was an abuse of the power of the testimonial. It was abuse of power and having a captive audience. So she, was a really great storyteller, but didn't know when to stop and didn't know how to have structure. The other one, I just think she was so excited and she was lonely and she loved being up in the front of the room and talking to that microphone, but it was not even structured. Like, it was bad. And when we ask for presentations, or you're giving, or you ask for testimonials, and if you're giving the presentation, it's really important to set the testimonial up ahead of time and not ask the audience, who here has had an experience with the super galactic moon juice that we're selling today? Is there anybody here that's had more energy? And like 5 people raise their hand. Come up, Mary, you're in the front row, and then Mary goes on for 20 minutes and everybody's like, oh, like this person is rambling on and on about stuff that doesn't matter. You don't want that to happen in your presentation because an engaged audience now becomes disengaged. Remember, testimonials and stories do two things. Can I do this? Will it work for me? And it builds trust with the company and with you. So we do bad things when those ramblers get up there. So if you're going to have presentations that include testimonials, and this includes online presentations as well as offline presentations, set them up ahead of time and mentor the person who you would like to give the testimonial, who would like to give that, you want them to do that. Mentor them on how you want the structure of the testimonial given, because there's a structure. I'm going to get into that. Very, very important to do this. If you are giving a one-on-one presentation, it's obviously harder to give other people's testimonials, but you might even have like, a piece of paper with you to give to your prospect with some testimonials on it. Or, you tell your own story. That's a big deal. The other thing is, before you meet with them, if you've had any correspondence, then maybe trickle in some testimonials in with that. We've got some campaigns that are running right now that I'm running with some friends, and, our follow-up, pretty much every piece of follow-up has a testimonial in it, especially the email follow-ups. And some of them are delivered through, most of them are delivered through video. So if you can get video testimonials, even better. But sometimes it's hard. You might just have a written testimonial, and that's fine. But include a picture. I usually do the first name and then like first name, last initial, and then like where they live. The reason is, you want to have a log of that person in case if that testimonial ever got legitimately questioned. But the problem is, if you put that person's full name out there, it can be, how do you want to say this? It can be intrusive for that person later. I've had that happen to me personally, where the testimonials that I have given personally that were out in public land were people have tracked me down and they start emailing me and messaging me about the person I gave the testimonial for. And that bugs me. I'm a very private person. I don't want people bugging me about that kind of stuff. So please do that favor for the people that you are using their testimonials, that especially on the internet, just use their first name, last initial, and maybe like where they're from. Okay. It's just good practice. Ask me how I know. And the other thing is, a lot of people will ask you, do you have testimonials? Like they're afraid to join. Do you have testimonials? And really, that's great. And we want to present those. I think it's great to automatically put those testimonials in the presentation and in the literature and in everything. But if people are giving you the objection of testimonial, and do you have proven success of your company and product, it's based out of their fear. They have fear within them. And the honest truth, the way I look at this is, would I honestly give them testimonials to prove that my product works or my company works, or even me with my, teaching Facebook ads? Would I give testimonials or, refer people that this didn't work for? Like they want the testimonial and the reassurance just to soothe their own fears. So it's a catch-22 on that. I'll just refer them back to a bank of testimonials that I have that I've got already done. Again, company products and literature that has the testimonials and, people, but I just automatically weave them in from the beginning. It just is really helpful. So I'm just saying, testimonials, really the biggest thing that they answer is the fear of the, what is going to create the objection. If somebody wholeheartedly believes they can do this business or whatever you're presenting, they will figure out a way to do it. Number one objection, I can't afford it. Well, if they know in their heart something clicks and they know they can do it, they will figure out a way to get the money. hands down. On the other side of that, if they know that they know that they know this product will work, they'll try it. Whether it's there's no guarantee with a health product, of course, right? But we can't guarantee that. Everybody's body is different. But if they hear the stories, it's the stories in which we will tell that it's going to soothe that person's fear of, will this work for me? Can I do this? Is this legitimate? That's what the testimonial does. If you're providing a service type of, offering, from your company, testimonials are just as important, because people want to see other people succeed, because it tells their subconscious, this will work for me. This is legitimate and I can do this. Okay. So that is why we do the stories and the testimonials. Now, when you give a testimonial, or you're showing somebody how to give a testimonial, you might even have a little sheet, a little testimonial sheet that they fill out and they read when they do the presentation. Or if you're doing it online, send it to them online. The testimonial is very short. It should be definitely under 2 minutes. Like 30 seconds is even better. Okay. When I gave my presentations back in 2001 and 2 and 3, and I did not realize the reason for my success was my storytelling, that testimonial went on for like 10, 15 minutes, because I told my own story, but it was a little too long. Needed to be cut way down. Just blah, blah, blah. I didn't know any better. I didn't even know that's why I was successful in presenting. I learned later. So when you give the presentation and you add in the testimonials, the testimonial should be 2 minutes max, unless it's a really big testimonial, which I don't know, like if it's a big, company hoo-ha, grand poobah type of person, or a leader telling their story from zero to hero or something like that. That's a little different. But in general, when you're doing a presentation and you're telling a testimonial, or you're bringing in testimonials, or you're being asked to give a testimonial, it should be less than 2 minutes. The lesser, the better. And it starts very simple. You start out with your name. Hi, my name is. Hi, my name is Jen. First thing. You could say where you live. Hey, my name is Jen from Southern Wisconsin. Some people like that, especially if you're like bonding, oh, I'm from Southern Wisconsin too, like just kind of like one of those things. I trust people from Southern Wisconsin because she must eat cheese, which, yeah, true. So you start out with something simple, and then the testimonial is very easy. It's before what I did and what I discovered, and then how it is now. Okay. So before, I'm going to use this. Before I started using, okay, that's the testimonial opener. My name is Jen from Southern Wisconsin. Before I started using Super Galactic Moon Juice, or before I met my friend Mary, who introduced me to Super Galactic Moon Juice Company, I struggled with blah, blah, blah. Okay. So you want to say the testimonial opens your name, the before I started with this company, before I met so-and-so who introduced me to the company, before Super Galactic Moon Juice product, I had a struggle. Okay. So that's how you start. It's the mini version of the zero to hero story, literally in 2 seconds flat. Before I had a struggle, you talk about your struggle. Before I learned about Super Galactic Moon Juice, by the way, this is my tea cup where I pour my tea. I drink lots and lots of little teas here. So before I I found super galactic moon juice, which is, I'm sad because I have no tea. There's like a drop of tea in there. Before I found super galactic moon juice, I would crash every day at 2:00 on the dot. I'd go to work in the morning. I'd work. I'd have lunch. 2:00 would hit. I'd almost have my head on the desk. I couldn't keep my eyes open, even with toothpicks to keep them open. I couldn't keep them open. There's your struggle. And you can add in why that's important. You know, I would crash at 2:00 and I would literally couldn't keep my eyes open. And I was asked to present at 2:30 and I had no energy and no mental clarity. So there's the struggle. Then my friend Mary introduced me to super galactic moon juice. I wish I had some tea in here. I don't have anything. My tea thing is not even on. I'm thirsty, you guys, can you tell? So then Mary introduced me to super galactic moon juice. That's the middle of the testimonial. You don't ramble on. Well, then my friend Mary invited me over for a Christmas party. And then we had those little cookies and we had tea and, you know, we were opening presents. And then, you know, my cousin John came in the room and I hadn't seen him in a long time. And John, you know, he's really, you know, been doing some cool stuff in his life and he bought some houses and apartments and now he's, you know, doing real estate. And, you know, then, you know, after the party was over, we went out for additional coffee and we were catching up. And, you know, I didn't know Mary's daughter was, you know, singing in the choir at the school and, you know, and then this is now your audience falling asleep. This is why we don't, you're probably even thinking, what the hell are you talking about, Jen? But that's what happens when we don't train our testimonial people. So we tighten it up back to super galactic moon juice. My name is Jen from Southern Wisconsin. Before I learned about super galactic moon juice, I was tired every day like clockwork. 2:00 in the afternoon, my eyelids got so heavy, I could put toothpicks up on my eyelids to keep them open. They wouldn't even have stayed open. They'd snap. You ever seen that in the cartoons where they go snap and the sticks break because the eyelids were so heavy? That was me. I had to give a presentation at 2:30 and I literally couldn't think straight. And I don't even know how I got through it and didn't get fired. But then my friend Mary introduced me to super galactic moon juice because she knew that I would get tired at 2:00 every day. I was complaining to her, oh my gosh, today was worse than ever. I was tired till 4. She showed me about super galactic moon juice. That's the first 2/3 of the testimonial. If you notice, I haven't even gone beyond a minute on that yet. Then you give the result, the after. So you gave the before, which is the struggle. Then you got the peak of the movie. Mary showed me super galactic moon juice because she knew I was struggling. And then you give the final piece of the testimonial, which is now I do 1 ounce of super galactic moon juice in the morning and I don't get tired at all ever again at 2:00 in the afternoon. I have enough energy through the morning. In the afternoon, I go home, I cook dinner. I don't need to take a nap anymore like I used to. And I have enough energy till I go to the evening and I just go to bed like normal. I have no more slumps. I feel great. And I didn't even have to drink 4 Red Bulls anymore like I used to, which is A, expensive, and B, I'd be like jittering out of my skin. So anybody who wants to have more energy and not slump at 2:00 in the afternoon, I would totally tell them to take super galactic moon juice. Does that make sense? That's the testimonial. So it's the person's ID. Hi, I am so-and-so. Just say the name. No stories. My name is Jen. I grew up in Chicagoland, officially born in Chicago, but grew up in the suburb right next to Chicago. And then I went to elementary school of Carpenter. And then I went to, you know, junior high. It was called junior high back then. And it wasn't called middle school like it is now. I don't know why do they call it middle school, because back when I grew up, it was like junior high. We don't, those are the testimonials that my upline used to give, and these ladies that would hold the microphone and you couldn't get it out of their hand, they would do those kinds of testimonials. The testimonial should be practiced. You can give somebody a sheet of paper if you're soliciting a testimonial, or send them a message or a document on Google or whatever it is you do. My name is before, and you can put in product or company. Then what happened? I was introduced by whom or what or how, and then the after. And you love Super Galactic Moon Juice because it da 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 da, and I don't have that problem anymore. That's literally the testimonial. The who, the before, my life, I was struggling. Then I met Super Galactic Moon Juice representative Mary, and now after doing Super Galactic Moon Juice for so long, now I feel this way. And thank goodness for Super Galactic Moon Juice, because my life has changed because of this. So it's like before, then I was introduced, now after, and you just do a one-liner summary. Okay. That is the testimonial. It is that simple. So if I was to give this testimonial right off of the bat here, I'm going to look at my clock. I'm going to time it. I'm going to time my testimonial, see if I'm as good as I am with my own ramblings here. I've been rambling to illustrate. Okay, you ready? I'm going to do it right now. I'm kind of nervous. I got my timer. Okay, there we go. So I am Jen, and I am from Southern Wisconsin. And before Super Galactic Moon Juice, I used to crash every afternoon, 2:00 on the nose, like the minutes would go ding, and my eyes would not stay open. I was tired, fatigued. My eyelids were so heavy, even toothpicks wouldn't be able to hold them open. And I was so worried about that, because at 2:30, I would have to give a presentation, and how I got through it, I have no idea, and didn't get fired because I was brain fogged, couldn't think straight, and I was tired. But then my friend Mary introduced me to Super Galactic Moon Juice, and I started taking 1 ounce a day in the morning. And within a few days, I noticed I felt more energy. And within a week, I had no more slumps in the afternoon ever again. I have enough energy from when I wake up all the way to bed. No more Red Bulls, 3 Red Bulls in the afternoon anymore. The jitters are gone, because I don't do that thing with the stimulants anymore. I just drink an ounce of Super Galactic Moon Juice, which is all fruits and vegetables, and now I feel great. So thank goodness for Super Galactic Moon Juice, and I'm so glad I got started. Okay, that testimonial was 1 minute and 14 seconds. That's all you need to do. And it's the same for the business. You don't change it for the business. Hi, my name is, before I got started in business, I could give you my own testimonial real quick here. I should time it. Hi, I am Jen Springer. And like I said, if I'm doing it on public and it's going to be all over the internet, I wouldn't give my last name. But hey, I'm Jen from Wisconsin. And before I started in network marketing, I felt like a prisoner trapped in the corporate world. I would literally go to work with my stomach in knots. And I was in my 20s. And I thought, how am I possibly going to get to 65 and not wind up on the news as one of those people that got wacko at work? But then one day my veterinarians were walking with me down the aisle of the barn and asked me if I kept my options open, and that they would like to talk to me about becoming a business partner with them. Well, I joined my company, and within 6 months, I was able to quit my job. And that was back in April of 2001. So I am so glad I said yes. And I'm so glad that I was open to listening to my vets talk to me about another way to earn income. And now I've been independent for over 20 years. That was not even a minute, you guys. So that is the testimonial. It is that simple. Okay. So if you're going to do presentations, again, set people up ahead of time, give them a little outline of what you want them to say, not the words, but the name, before I started the company or the product, how I got introduced to the product, and then what happened after. And now I enjoy whatever the summary is. Now I enjoy time freedom, where I'm able to go and show my horses all over the area without having to ask for Fridays off like I used to when I worked corporate. You want to do a quick summary, like now that's the final part of the testimonial. But the testimonial should be less than 2 minutes. The less, the better. because then you can line them up and you can sprinkle them in during different parts of your presentation. Typically, the first testimonial at the beginning is yours. Okay, your testimonial is at the beginning of a presentation. Again, whether it's online or it's recorded, pre-recorded online or whatever, it's all, yours is typically the one in the front. Then in the middle, you can, as you're talking about products or services or getting started, you can bring in 1 or 2 testimonials during the middle if you want. It's kind of up to you, but really at the end is when those testimonials are really the power punch. The testimonial at the end, if you've got a really good partner who can help do testimonials with you or for you, that person can give a testimonial and really give a strong call to action. Like if you're sitting there in the chair and you're like me and your eyelids close in the afternoon after you eat lunch and you can barely stay awake, you need to get started on Super Galactic Moon Juice. I know Mary here at the front of the room is going to give you some special pricing and talk about it. Don't wait. Get started today, because within a couple of days, you might feel like I did, where all of a sudden you feel this veil lift off your head. And then in a week, you might be totally slump free like me. Don't wait. Get started today. So like that's a whole different set of skills. I'm just going to say that strong call to action off the testimonial. But I just want to give you a little taste of that. But truly, the basic testimonial is often just enough. That testimonial that is under 2 minutes, sprinkled in, yours at the beginning. You might be a little longer if you're telling, a little bit more about you, but general, when in doubt, make it short. Maybe have 1 or 2 in the middle, maybe, but the end, bring them in as you're wrapping up, as you're asking for the close, you're going to bring those testimonials at the end. Especially once you present the product, getting started, the business opportunity, how to get started, as you're passing out the pens or as you're calling to action for people to go click a button or whatever it is, that bring in those testimonials. Okay. If you have websites or you have Facebook pages or you have Facebook groups, ask for testimonials. Groom your team members, successful product users, groom them and ask them for a testimonial. Ask them for a video testimonial. Say, here's your camera, wipe it off, hold this sideways. It's better sideways versus up and down. Hold it sideways, blah, 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 blah. Here's the outline for the presentation, the testimonial. Remember I told you what those were? My name, before, then what happened, after, now I enjoy, whatever the changes in the life. Give them the little thing, say, fill this out, go ahead and record it for me, and ask for testimonials. Sprinkle those things everywhere, and you will see a huge shift in your business. So I hope this was of benefit for you. I love talking about this, and my next one is going to be about edification, which is kind of similar to this, but different. It's one of the core master skills of network marketing, which is, how do you want to say, something that I don't ever remember officially being taught how to do, except I learned the concepts. And I'm really going to be really excited to share with you about edification, because it's another really, really important skill that I think has kind of gotten lost in the last years to be, I think within the last 10 years, I've seen the art of edification really, actually even longer than that, be squelched, I guess you'd say, kind of lost. But we're going to talk about edifying. And I haven't seen anybody lately even talk about the art of the testimonial. So practice your testimonials, start sharing with your team how to do testimonials, gather a bank of testimonials. If you're doing live presentations, schedule at least one person, maybe more if you can, to a live Zoom presentation testimonial, story, sell, facts, tell. You can tell everybody about how awesome Super Galactic Moon Juice is. That is the best stuff that ever existed in the universe. But if they don't believe it works for them or anybody else, or it's a scam, you're never going to get people started on your product, or you're same with your company and your opportunity. So I will see you guys next week. Above this presentation or below, depending if you're watching the rebroadcast, you will find a link to watch my I'm kind of brain fart, my training on Facebook ads, because if you don't even have enough prospects to present to, which is a big problem, or even give testimonials to, if that well is running dry, you need more prospects. So are Facebook ads the time now to do? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But listen to that training, register and watch it, and you will know if it's for you or not. And then from there, we can talk and see if it is truly a fit. So make sure you listen to that, register, watch it if you haven't done that already. I will put the link in there. If you're watching this live, it's not in there yet because it's so hard to get this thing live and get this thing going. And then share this training with your team. You can use this training to train your team. Why would you do it yourself when you have this video to use? Okay, we'll see you guys next time. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening and learning with me.